elongate anything because that would be putting you right through the middle of their office.
Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So I will call this Tuesday, September 10th, 2024, Board of County Commissioner meeting to order. The chair will approve the agenda make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion in a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. The chair will also make a motion to approve the consent agenda A through J. Second. Motion in a second. Any further discussion? I think the only thing that is really on here that maybe that would be want to talk about is we finalized the contract with the ice arena and with the company Extreme, so that they are now leasing for sure, it's all settled. They are leasing the ice arena, and we'll be trying to have ice 12 months a year. And they have ice already made now. And so I think it's going to be a good thing for Moffett County. It's going to be a great thing for our people. So that'd be the only thing on here that I see that's maybe out of the ordinary. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. So now we go to public comment. Anybody would like to come? You have roughly 3 minutes to discuss whatever you would like. Just please state your name and if you are a Moffett County resident.
I'm Ann Dodd with the DAR, and I am a Moffett County resident. I'm here with some of my cohorts with the Augusta Wallahan chapter, and Constitution Week starts September 17th next week and runs through the 23rd. We invite the community to spend this week studying and reading the Constitution, and also invite you to come out on the 17th at noon and ring bells with us for 10 minutes. We also have a proclamation we would like read.
Where are you ringing bells on the 17th?
Oh, Gampa and Victory.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you.
I'll read that in.
Yep.
The Constitution Week Proclamation from Moffett County, Colorado, September 17th through the 23rd, 2024. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government in a republic dedicated to rule by law, and whereas September 17th, 2024 marks the 237th anniversary of the framing of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorial anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate it, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore, I, Tony Booyer, Melody Villard, Donald Broom, by virtue of the authority vested in me as Commissioner of Moffett County in the state of Colorado, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through 23rd as Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to join the Augusta-Wallahan chapter of the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution to reaffirm the ideals the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by studying the Constitution and reflecting on the privilege of being an American and with the rights and responsibilities which that privilege involves, vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, and remembering that the lost rights may never be regained. In witness thereof, I have unto here set my hand.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, I don't think we'll make a motion in public comment during that time, but it's not
Right.
on our- but we will we write it into the minutes, and we adopt it every year. So sounds good. Any other public comment? Sir?
Good morning, County
Good morning.
Commissioners. How are you?
Good.
My name is Matt Carter. I live in Moffett County. I am one of the assistant coaches for the girls' fast pitch softball team that the school put in this year. We've played 6 games so far this year. We've got, I think, 16 on the books total. We are having only one softball home game this year, and it is on the 24th at CMS at the baseball and softball field. I'd like to invite the public, you guys, to come and support the girls. Most of our team is made up with freshmen. We only have 2 girls that have played ball before for Meeker. So that being said, at 4 o'clock on the 24th, if you guys would like to come and support, they will be playing Aspen. We are having to go independent this year, so we are playing anybody that will play us. We played 4 games this last weekend, on 2 games on Friday and 2 games on Saturday. We tied up. We finally got into double digits on Saturday. My daughter, Taryn Carter, did a infield grand slam, and the girls are they're picking it up fast, and it would be nice if the community would come and show their support for this. And I want to thank the school district for putting it in the school, since they did away with swimming. And just anything that the community could do to help the girls along the way. You know, we can always use volunteers to help with anything. So
Sure.
I just appreciate your time this morning and hope to see you guys there on the 24th.
24th. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. Any other public comment? Discuss anything going on in the county if you would like. Last chance. We have some special guests with us today that are going to, we're going to give a few minutes here during public comment, but we have some young ladies from the high school Key Club with us. If they want to come, Josephina Kuberry and Bella Vanzo. They're going to give us a little update of the high school Key Club. Morning, ladies.
Morning.
Morning.
Hi, I'm Josephina and this is Bella and we're the vice presidents of Key Club. And we just wanted to make it known in the community, I guess, that what we're doing and what we've been doing this year. We had a officer retreat in June and we came up with some new ideas for the school year.
We want to spread the word of the service that we're doing in the community, and we hope to make an impact in the future through the school year and just keep continuing to make Key Club a big part of Moffett County High School and the community. To kick off the summer and school year, our officer team went to the middle school to get interest for freshmen coming up into the high school. So we gave out popsicles and whatever, and we ended up gaining a lot of numbers through freshmen. So we're excited to have grown this year. Over the summer, we had volunteers help with the balloon festival, the rubber ducky race, the fair, and then many other things on their own, like mowing for their neighbors or helping the community budget center sort clothes, things like that, that we're always trying to help with in the community.
This school year, we plan to unite more as a club and do some more volunteer work together. So we plan to do tie blankets for senior homes, kindness rocks for schools, and fall and Christmas booths at festivals. And so a couple other things that we'll probably do all during the school year.
And then lastly, at the end of the year, after we've fundraised money, we're still trying to decide how we want to fundraise that money this year, but we usually do a big fundraiser with our whole club and try to get the whole community involved in fundraising so that we can allocate money to nonprofits around the community. So at the end of the year, we'll do allocations, and we usually give away about $10,000. So that's something really big that we try to fundraise for. But we're really excited to be able to speak to you guys today, and we hope to be able to make a difference in the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You guys keep up the good work, and I would encourage you to come back and give us some updates throughout the year. That would be great. School year. Yeah. Appreciate you. All right. Moving on to item number 1. This is with Candace Miller, the Planning and Zoning. This is discussion regarding T-24-01. It's the Massa B&B LLC temporary use application for temporary employee housing.
Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
Well, so as you know, we had an application for temporary use that was reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Board on August 6th. That was voted 2-1 to deny that application. We provided record of that meeting, the P&Z meeting, to the planning or to the BOCC on August 13th. The application was tabled at that last meeting. We did provide the applicant with a long list of things that we asked for them to provide in regard to the site plans, communication with Road and Bridge on access, reached out to CDOT on some potential concerns. I did provide them the information they requested. I have not heard back. Unfortunately, they had some inter-office issues and weren't able to get me back a response. And I will forward that when I have it. But so we do have that long list of items that, you know, the Massa B&B provided to the board. However, the applicant made the decision on September 5th to retract their application. So that is where we are today.
Okay. Commissioners, you have anything to say regarding this? Prior to.
Not on the application itself. It just brings up some things for us to consider as commissioners on some of our policies and what we've got on the books. They are on. Can you not hear us? Sorry. Sorry about that. My comment was that I don't have anything to say specifically on the application that's been withdrawn, but that it does, for us as commissioners, it did bring up some things that on our policies that we need to look at. And there were some things that when we looked at the books to how do we answer some of the questions that were brought to us, that our policies didn't give us a clear way to answer that, or that they were kind of ambiguous. So that would be my comment.
If I could add, I will say that planning and zoning has identified, so our zoning regulations.
Are you unable to hear Candace as well? Candace, is yours on?
Mine is on.
Yeah. Oh, now it is.
So you might.
Sorry,
repeat
I'm
that
hearing my echo.
has been withdrawn.
Yeah, so the application was withdrawn. And I will say, as to your comment, that planning and zoning, just I had identified several years back that our planning and zoning, our zoning regulations for the county are outdated, that we need to take a look at some of those things to see where, I think we have, the last amendments to anything in our zoning regulations were in the early 80s. So I think it was time to take a look at our zoning regulations and just make sure that everything's aligning with our current uses today. And, that language is easily understood, that if we go back to that as a reference, that we can find, the answers to those questions.
I think 1986 was the last time this was updated. Is that right? Or when is it?
In reviewing some stuff, I did find one little section under maybe even a definition that was 2001, but I think that was the last one.
Big
Yeah.
one was in 1986.
Yes.
And so I think this was a tough decision, which I'm glad they pulled it. Now, they pulled it, but we'll be honest, I'm sure they're going to come back at some point as they work through some things and as the county works through some things. But, we said it last time, and I think this is why this is such a controversial thing, is that nobody that lives and has acreage wants the commissioners to tell you what you can and can't do with your property. Right? That there's these landowner rights. You don't want me to come in and say, well, guess what? You can't put that shed there because your neighbor don't like it, or you can't, right? But at the same time, making that statement, when does your landowner rights trump my landowner rights, right? And so that is a very gray and sticky area, and I appreciate everybody that's here today on this subject, because you're passionate about it, and we heard your voice. And if this does come back, you will get a notification. There will be a public hearing again. Like nothing's going to get slipped on by. Everything's going to be done by the book. And so if it does come back at a later date, and we don't know that it will for sure on that chunk of property, it might come somewhere else. We don't know that. But if it does, you'll get all the notifications. You'll get everything you need to make sure, you guys can come back and have your voices heard in that point. So, but at this moment, we had to bring it to the table because we tabled it last meeting for this meeting. So we had to bring it up today, even though they pulled their application. So no decisions need to be made on that. So appreciate you and appreciate your time on that.
Thank you.
Did you guys, I skipped over, but the commissioners have any general discussion that you wanted to say before we move on? You're good. Okay. All right. Number 2, Office of Development Services, Neil Binder, and the Sheriff's Office, Chip McIntyre. This is going to be talking about an enterprise lease agreement for Sheriff's Office fleet vehicle programs. Morning.
Good morning. So back when I started, something came to me regarding our fleet. And this was through Enterprise. And so that was back in November. So we've been working through this process for almost a year now. And really diving in deep to what we have and how we spend our money, and going into the future, how we can save money, right? So through that process, we have had some workshops, and we have talked through what part of our fleet could we start this and kind of start a guinea pig program to find out what those true numbers come out to be. And we all have decided that the sheriff's vehicles would probably be the easiest one to start, since it does have its own funding. And we can really watch those numbers closely. So in front of you, you have the actual lease agreement. There's a master agreement the enterprise uses for the whole nation. And then there's a second document there that is the amendment for specifically Colorado, and even more specifically for government and the non-appropriation laws. So running through all of these numbers, where we have found savings is by going to this fleet program, which is a lease. And alone in just the sheriff's vehicles, the patrol vehicles side of things, annually, we can save almost $50,000 per year, just in leasing all of those vehicles versus outright purchasing them and amortizing them out over a 5-year program. With this program, they will manage those vehicles as well, and they will look at every year that vehicle ages, what its worth is at that current day. And if it does benefit us to sell that vehicle at an earlier date, that money then comes back into our program and it saves us on that next purchase. So there's additional savings that we don't even know yet.
So that piece of paper that you have there, we don't have that in our packets.
No, so that basically what I did, and if you guys want to look at this,
Is that the numbers? Is that the bottom?
yeah, these are the bottom numbers.
Yeah, if we could have some, that'd be great.
Yep. You had a question?
Are you ready for a question?
Absolutely.
So with this lease, when these vehicles come in, are they already upfitted or how does that? Because I know there's some counties or city police or whatever, they have a program where they get in a lease deal, because I think that guy had talked about that through this. So you're not going that route.
No.
You're just leasing the vehicle, not letting them get it upfitted and all the stuff that goes on at the
Yeah, we'll
lights.
still do the upfitting in-house,
Oh,
so.
you're still doing it?
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
By upfitting in-house, it saves us almost 50% of the costs
of upfitting.
of upfitting through another company.
And the turnaround times, you know, if you send them out somewhere else to get upfitted, it's 6 to 9 months. We can turn them around in a month, so.
Yeah, well, you see that outfit in Denver, they got a lot of vehicles sitting there just
Right.
waiting. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. 'Cause
And this is going to help us better manage our fleet. Currently, we've got multiple vehicles that have in excess of 100,000 miles that we should have gotten rid of already, but just trying to source vehicles, we were never able to do that in the turnaround time and getting them in this lease program. We already have 3 in the queue waiting for us to go get picked up, so we can start getting rid of some of those vehicles that are just maintenance heavy on our side, so,
And of course, like you said, with your in-house upfitting guys,
right,
you've saved a lot of money.
yep.
So under, if something breaks and warranty, we can get those all done here.
Absolutely. Yep. And that,
Locally, we've talked to them and made sure that the dealerships are,
so that's the other part of this is the dealerships, our local dealerships can also be utilized through this program.
Yeah.
You know, and that's going to help us as well with warranty issues and other maintenance things that need to be strictly done by the dealerships. So.
Any other comments or questions from the commissioners?
No, I appreciate the workshops that you had us do as well. That was helpful.
Let's not exaggerate. We did not enjoy all those.
I know. Every time I came to the table, it was, oh, no, we're gonna talk about this.
The first couple, but the last 8 or 9, we did not enjoy.
Oh, here comes Neil. Jeez.
Give it to Neil.
Yeah, I don't know how many eye rolls I got from Donald over there.
All right. So, I guess we'll look for what the commissioner's pleasure is on the enterprise lease agreement. for the sheriff's office.
Are you needing dollar amounts on those?
I don't believe so. I think we could just say the
Just
master,
on-
yeah. road
On
region.
your agreement?
I want to make one more comment. This does not put out any of our local businesses. Our local businesses also have the opportunity to be a part of this enterprise program where the vehicles actually get purchased through our local dealerships. That is on the county's decision on where we want to get those vehicles. Enterprise doesn't make that decision for us. So I just want to make sure that that's clear as well.
Well, and I think, whether it's the city, I mean, I would think the city would want to jump in on some of these things just because of it's such a savings, but, one dealer, if I'm incorrect here, correct me, but one dealer gets the government contract.
No,
State.
that isn't true, actually. And
Okay.
I've learned that through this whole process as well, that, multiple dealers in the state have access to, this
No,
program.
not enterprise.
Are you
I'm
talking about the state
government
purchasing agreement?
Purchasing agreement.
That isn't true either.
So who
There
gets
is,
those? Because our local dealers never. get
most of those are all on the Front Range that do, because it's volume based. And so you get into the Western Slope, and I believe there's maybe 2 dealerships down in Junction that have that state purchase agreement. But we don't have to go with that necessarily.
Not through this.
Correct. And it benefits us to the fact of if we're in the same range as that state purchasing agreement, that we can go with our,
The agreement though is a bid deal though, anyway, isn't it?
Mhm.
I mean, they.
yes, yep.
Jump in.
And it changes every year.
Yeah. Somebody
Right,
here
that's what I'm
makes
saying,
somebody
that's-
in Denver, it's a
Yep.
little cheaper.
Yeah, and I think this is going to help us for a big part of it too, is that they're saying that we can get the vehicles where in the last few years we've struggled to get vehicles. And so, I think we have vehicles in our capital program from 2021 still that
Still.
have not been purchased
Yep.
in 2024 or even 2020 because they can't get the vehicles. And so,
You're correct.
this will help catch us up. And so we're not spending all that money in maintenance. So, yep, good. What's our pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the enterprise lease agreement and amendment for the Sheriff's Office Fleet Vehicle Program as presented.
Second.
Motion in a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right, last on the agenda today, but not least, is a presentation. We have Moffett County Tourism Association, Tom Kleinschmidt, to talk to us a little bit about Visit Moffett County, 2024 MCTA Lador Trip Report, and 2025 a little bit. So how are we
There
doing?
you go. Thank you, commissioners. Appreciate the time on a public forum to report out on this important trip. The trip occurred in Dinosaur National Monument. It was August 20th to 24th. It was a 4-day trip with the National Park Service as the administrator. It was an administrative trip in cooperation with Moffett County Tourism and the BLM. The MCTA's budget for the thing was about $3,000. We spent less than that. The final numbers aren't in yet, but we dedicated to that. The BLM put in a couple grand to make things happen, as well as the National Park Service provided 3 personnel, 2 boats, and what it took to make that happen. Moffett County did, through Road and Bridge, give us a van to make that trip happen. That van was very important for moving our guests to and from the trip, and actually I was able to hook my trailer to it and haul my raft with it. So much appreciation goes out to Moffett County and the resources that were given to us to make that happen. Another big part of that trip was the volunteer boat operators that stepped up, weren't compensated or anything, just brought their rigs out and provided those things to make the trip happen. Our chairman, John Husband, had his rig out there. Dave Pike, representing the Moffett County Parrot Heads, and was able to give some updates on what was happening with that group, but also he was in charge of the trivia contest each night, which, you know, led to fun controversy and he's quite the character and a good sport. Soren Jefferson was there, Curtis Elgin, local ag producer, Joycelyn Mullen with the town of Rangeley, operated a boat, and actually, just to her credit, she was in Montana delivering her child to a college situation just before the trip, and her vehicle broke down on the way back, and she purchased another truck to make the trip. So that was, you know, commendable for someone that realized that she wasn't going to make it, and she just got to a dealer and bought a new Toyota. Just amazing that she did that and made that happen. Also, Tim Jantz with the Moffett County Sheriff's Department was there with his rig. He's obviously a guy that is truly in love with the area and contributed a lot to making that camp work. He took on a lot of the hard duties that are tough and those kinds of things. And then, of course, Josh and Megan Veenstra were provided all the camp materials and all the things that made that thing go. The portable toilets, all the kitchen, all the regulated things that need to happen to make a sanitized and good-looking camp. So they were there doing that. As we got together, the group, the trip list is in front of you, the people that actually participated. Everyone was encouraged to move boats on a constant basis, to have good conversations with people as they make their way down the river. It would be the kind of thing where at lunch we were encouraging people to move to another boat and to be able to have a fresh conversation with someone and have good, solid time with each other to do some interaction and some solid communication. So I think many times people, as you know, in conventions and that kind of thing, just kind of stick to their table with people they know. This group was really good about moving around and introducing themselves and making that format work for getting their messages out. We had presentations each evening by everybody that was interested in doing a presentation. The first presentation, the National Park Service got up and gave us some updates. Again, I'm sure you're very aware of the investment they're going to be doing out in Dinosaur, their operations center. It isn't clear with the numbers that I heard on the trip exactly what the investment there, but it's going to be in excess of $20 million or more, putting in an operations center out there, which will be a rededication to Colorado and Moffett County, which I think is myself very important. When Congressman Aspinall worked on the legislation to make the monument, he had the headquarters be in statute to be in Moffett County at Dinosaur. And that has been diminished over the years. And now that building that's off of Highway 40 east of the town of Dinosaur is noted as the Canyon Visitor Center. And in my opinion, and I hope in your opinion, the headquarters for Dinosaur National Monument is in Moffett County, and it should be, and that dedication should be there. So having this significant reinvestment into their operations center, not being in Utah, being in Colorado, is important. The other things they talked about were that 18,000 people applied to get permits, more than 18,000, to run in Dinosaur National Monument on a private basis. That does not include the commercial operators up there. That's just people that would like to go rafting in Dinosaur National Monument. That makes Deer Lodge Park Launch Point the hardest permit to get for river running in the United States of America. It's easier to get permits in Grand Canyon, anywhere in Idaho. It's hard, it's just plain statistically tough to get a permit up there. The management plan hasn't changed since 1979. There may be some things in your future or other commissioners' future where things open up a bit and maybe input could be put in on how those are allocated. But I can tell you that it's mounting, but there's a lot of pressure to get into the monument. Moffett County Tourism sees other sections of the Yampa River as possibly something that would be assets in the future that would be wonderful, including our new Whitewater Park in Craig right here that might be a good outlet. Also, the Juniper Canyon improvements that were made at the Maybell Ditch that have opened that up for something that could be a great asset for people to float the Yampa River in. And I've worked on and not been successful with the National Park Service with attaining permission to get the contact information for the people that apply for those permits to get information from Moffett County. The idea behind that is very similar to what the DOW does right here in Colorado. You can, when you're applying for a license, check off that you would like information from a local providers. Those lists are available readily in Colorado for anyone to get their information to hunters. It would be the same concept, and I would hope you would support that in the future, that those 18,000 people are frustrated and maybe getting some information about other opportunities in our region would be appropriate. The other thing that they talk about, and I tell you, as far as being a boat guy, the power lines that came through, there was a minor amount of money that came to the national park for running those power lines over the Deer Lodge Road. It was a very minor mitigation dollar amount. It was in the $20,000-$25,000 range. And we would simply buy materials to put in a boat ramp, a decent boat ramp at Deer Lodge. Again, going back to how important that place is and how it is the keynote place of river runners around the world to get a permit and go, and having the despicable boat ramp that is present there is once again not quite getting to fruition. It was to begin this fall. Again, that contract fell apart. The Utah National Guard was supposed to come in, use those materials that were paid for by the mitigation from the power lines, and that's been delayed another year. So again, I just find that outrageous. Being a former river runner and having employees stand in front of me when we did our mandatory safety meetings, when I had people talk about where the most unsafe place that they work, many times boat ramps and Dinosaur National Monument were listed as the #1 place that's the most unsafe place they work. The top vote getter for that was Hype Marina on Lake Powell in the last few years. But, it's kind of incredible that the National Park Service presents workplaces that are not safe for people and for private individuals. I think you guys, with boat ramps that you put out there, are far superior and maintained in a much superior manner. So I would hope that pressure in the future through trips like this, with people with scrutiny and people looking at them saying that's not acceptable to have that kind of visitor readiness for our people. It just doesn't make sense. The only last thing that the park is, looking at their signs. If you ever go through Dinosaur in the next few months, please note what the signs look like on Highway 40 pointing at the Canyon Visitor Center. Those things look like they're out of the third world. There's something that looks like are pointing to a closed museum or something. They need to be fixed, and I think Moffett County Tourism has made it clear that kind of thing is not acceptable for us. We were encouraged everyone to have lots of conversations. That evening, the first evening, where you had Connor Hall with the OEDIT Outdoor Recreation Industry Office do a presentation. There's some fantastic numbers of the amount of dollars generated from outdoor recreation. But more importantly, I think he's attained a fondness for our corner of the state. And he did come out this May and do the special that was done for public television, and did some interviews with Commissioner Broom, and that special will be coming out this fall when they complete their series of special places in Colorado. And it was really neat that Connor Hall the director of outdoor rec for the state came to our county and made sure to dedicate it 2.5 days to that. The second night, the BLM, a major sponsor of the thing, stepped up. Our local area manager was not able to make it. Kim was canceled at the last moment for that trip, but Elisha Waters was there, did a main presentation of what was going on with BLM. He did let us know at that time that he is moving on to Utah and will be moving over the border and taking that district on over in Utah. But we had the BLM Associate State Director Brian Cooper there. He emphasized visitor services and also talked about the wild horse program and did some updates with that. So, you know, in tourism, the wild horses do get a lot of attention. Just understanding what's happening out there is important to us to just understand the facts. We don't weigh in one way or the other. We just want to understand what you're doing so we can convey, you know, with straightforward communication to the people that contact us. So that was an important discussion, and I think it was really good for us to have somebody of that stature on the trip. Nikki Horn with the Browns Park Wildlife area was there. She manages that area. There's only 2 full-time employees there, but her attitude and what she talked about with visitor services and wanting to lean in to take care of people visiting the refuge was very positive, and it compared to what I've experienced up there in the last several years, I find that she's going to be a very good manager and lean into helping with visitor services. The last night we had 5 presenters. I'm not going to go through all the presentations. We don't have enough time today, but I can say Curtis Elgin, the gentleman that came and ran a boat on the trip, but is obviously an ag producer and a rancher here in Moffat County, did a great presentation and represented ag very well on the trip. And that's exactly what the kind of trip that we're looking for, is getting all voices. He talked about the economic importance of hunting to his operation and the fact that if hunting didn't exist in its quality state, that he would not be able to have him and his family on that ranch. It's the equalizer that makes the economics of that ranch work for his family and being present to work there. So I think there was a very rounded discussion. I think we had a great combination of people that came together. Colt Hoffman was on the trip. Colt is somebody that also works for Moffat County. He works for the Moffat County Sheriff's Department, but he has his own business, Colt 45 Productions. We were not able to secure a commercial filming permit for him for the trip, but that doesn't stop him from taking lots of pictures. He took a lot of quality pictures. I have 240 pictures or so right here in my pocket on a thumb drive that I'll get to Erin if she'd like to use those for future use. I'll be using them, and other people are open to use them. Anything that's acquired through Colt is open, as long as we just sort of note that he's the guy that took the pictures. He does some quality work. Just to show you, I think many of you've seen the picture that Colt did in Echo Park earlier this year. It's present on the Moffat County site. It's a fantastic shot. I use this for a postcard, and I printed 5,000 of them to respond to visitor requests. And those 5,000 cards will go out roughly from next week through about February next year. So it's really nice to have quality photography that's there. I have applied to the Colorado Tourism Office for a video grant that I know all of you have seen, and then the deadline for that is today. I actually turned it in last week, and hopefully get some solid money to put Colt to work next year to do a lot of event video, Moffat County asset video, and then some still photography. And also in that grant, we have still photography that we would welcome all people that are professional photographers in our county to submit work, and that we would compensate them for those quality assets. So we're looking at that. But on this trip, Colt did a great job and knocked out some really fun stuff. Let's see, the CTO does have something that I did talk to briefly to Commissioner Broom about. They have a new policy they're working on through their Visitor Services Division, the division that handles welcome centers. The welcome centers are that program is they're going to take that bucket of money. The concept, this is not past the CTO board of directors yet, but they take that bucket of money and present it to all visitor centers across the state. And many visitor centers will be able to apply for grants and to be able to get some help making their visitor center a Colorado Welcome Center. And the regulations behind that will be dropped a bit, and anybody can apply. Even Moffett County Tourism right here in Craig could apply for these new funds. However, what worries me and what apparently is going to be a challenge for us, and I need your direction as your tourism representative, is that that means that the Welcome Center in Dinosaur would need to apply for grant funding to be able to operate. And looking at the new criteria that they have, we don't cut it. So we're going to see, just frankly, what's going to happen is there's going to be a cut in funding for what operations in there. Why it's important to the public is that that facility is owned by Moffett County. That visitor center is one of the best buildings in the town of Dinosaur. And I would hate to see it not be a visitor services place, but I think that's in jeopardy. And I just would ask you to, when you have your influence out there and the things that are important to convey to people, that entrance to Dinosaur, to the very northwest corner of Colorado should have a great positive experience as opposed to us on a annual basis applying for grants to keep the thing open. I think that concept sounds rigorous and a wise use of public money, but I think all of us know doing business like that just means you don't have an operations plan. You're not going to be able to hire somebody that's going to go year to year wondering if their salary is going to be available or not. So anyway, and as I close today, I just want to say that our projects committee met last week, Moffett County Tourism Association, and they want to put forward to the board this week, this Wednesday, the idea of doing another one of these cooperative trips to contact the National Park Service, the administration there, and inquire about, this would be the fourth trip that would occur, that would be a cooperative trip that we would look for partners like BLM and Moffett County Tourism to come together and get important people together. What we need your help with is getting the right people on that trip. And I think that's what these kinds of trips take about a year to accomplish. So it's time to get started if we're going to do it. But if the commissioner has any problems with the trip or would like to have serious input about what occurs on those trips, I think this is the time for you to influence my board of directors. With that, I've just got some handy dandy cups that I got from the trip that the board would like you to have. And these cups are insulated cups that are really nice, and when you bring to meetings and that kind of thing, you can do that. The other thing that's high technology is you take the lid off and you can put your beverage of choice right in here. If you forgot your koozie, you can drink your Mountain Dew right out of there and it'll stay nice and cool for you. So, the thoughts that went into making sure we had the right stuff. But again, we have a graphic on Janelle Husband's picture of Lador's on here, and it says Moffett County right on there. So we got those to all the participants of the trip, but we have one for each of you today.
Thank you.
I am open for questions about how the trip was conducted or your thoughts about the future.
You was talking about the plan for permits. It was 18,000
Over 18,000 people applied.
outfitters, whatever.
No, sir. Yeah, that is correct. That would be over 18,000 people that applied for the 150 permits that are available from roughly mid-May through mid-September. So again, to emphasize, and I think we do have a crown jewel out there. Sometimes we don't like to be overrun by too much tourism. The management plan out there is very tight, and it's hard to get in there. You know, one thing I think you can relay that to is it's like a trophy hunter that goes around North America looking for getting a trophy moose, a trophy elk, you know, a big buck, maybe a cottontail. Well, you know, our Deer Lodge launch is something like the Desert Bighorn. Your chances of getting one of those permits is starting to be almost impossible, and to be able to have that as part of your trophy collection is going to be tough. The same in the river runners world. This launch from Deer Lodge, the place where I started when I was a kid in 1971 was my first trip down there. I didn't realize that, you know, just 50 years later, how precious that place has become and how popular it is.
It just, a guy that I sat on a state board with, Andy Nines, I think he takes 30,000 plus rafters a year there in Canyon City in his business. And he'll still tell you that he'd rather go here than anywhere. And somehow he gets to go every year, probably connections that he knows, I'm assuming. But he takes 30,000 rafters a year at his place in Canyon City to do that. It's just unfortunate that there's not an outfitter in Moffat County there, that they're all in Utah. And I would think that if that dock is that bad, that those outfitters that are making a living on that river, that Moffat County's not seeing, they're not paying any really thing to us, right? That they would bind together and make it safe for their employees instead of just saying, hey, government, you need to do this.
Yeah, I have
And I really think
participated
that that's a
in
big
outfitter
deal.
meetings over there for decades, and you know, the boat ramps are just bitched about every single time, and that's just there. But as a former outfitter in Moffat County, we do pay Moffat County essentially like a property tax
Right.
for, you know, it's fairly minor, but it's based on how long your permit is, but it's a few $1,000s.
Yeah, yep. I would think those guys should really push to get it fixed, you know, if their
Oh.
employees are the one in danger, it's not the state employees that are like.
I tell you,
government.
workman's comp rates, as you know, are not fun to look at. And when you got a guy that breaks an ankle at a boat ramp, that's just not only puts the whole trip in jeopardy, but it's just plain wrong.
Hopefully those outfitters will step up to the plate and make it safe for their employees, you know.
There you go.
Let's get grants or whatever they got to do to make that happen. So any other comments? Statements? We appreciate all that information. Appreciate the gifts.
Donald would like the pink.
Donald wants the pink one?
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out if you fill this up and you got this hook on there, when I hook it on my pants, how that gonna stay in?
All right.
Thank you.
That is the last thing on our agenda today. So our next meeting will be September 24th, 2024 at 8:30 a.m. right here in the Commissioner Chambers.